The chandeliers of the Grand Asteria Hotel glittered like stars caught in crystal, filling the ballroom with gold and warmth. It was the night of celebration. Business elites, politicians, and world figures gathered under one roof to honor the man of the hour, Adrian Hale, the billionaire CEO known for his unshakable focus and ruthless success. Cameras flashed, people cheered, but Adrian felt none of it. He stood near the tall glass windows overlooking the rain-drenched city, a glass of vintage wine in hand, his reflection staring back at him like a stranger. He had achieved everything the world could offer: fortune, fame, respect, but not peace. 7 years had passed since Clara walked out of his life, leaving behind silence and unanswered questions. He told himself she was just another chapter closed, until tonight. A sudden sound, a soft laugh, rose above the music, delicate yet hauntingly familiar. Adrian's hand froze mid-air, his heart stumbling in his chest. That voice. He turned instinctively, scanning the sea of faces, and then he saw her. Clara, standing near the grand staircase in a simple navy dress, her beauty untouched by time. The world fell away, sound fading into a distant hum. But then he noticed something that made the floor beneath him vanish. A little boy and girl beside her, their hands clasped around hers. The boy's sharp jawline mirrored his own, and the girl's bright green eyes held a spark he'd seen before. His mother's eyes. Adrian's breath caught. The wine glass trembled in his grip. The truth hit him like a storm. Those weren't just her children. They were his. Adrian's pulse thundered as he stood frozen by the window, unable to look away. The music around him swelled again, but all he could hear was the sound of his heartbeat echoing in his ears. Clara's hand brushed over the little boy's shoulder as she leaned down to whisper something, and the boy laughed softly, the same deep, warm laugh Adrian had once been told was rare, a sound that could melt even the hardest days. For a moment, Adrian forgot the room, the lights, the faces. All that remained was that laugh, and the question clawing at his chest. Why hadn't she told him? Why hadn't she said a word all these years? His grip tightened around the wine glass until he feared it might shatter. He tried to step away, but his feet wouldn't move. Clara turned suddenly, and their eyes met across the ballroom. It felt like being struck by lightning. Time stopped. She froze too, the smile fading from her face, replaced by a mix of shock and something deeper, regret, fear, or both. Adrian set the glass down and began walking toward her, his heartbeat pounding louder than the orchestra. Every step brought memories, her laughter, her tears, the night she left without explanation. When he reached her, the children looked up curiously. The little girl tilted her head. "Mommy, who's that man?" she asked innocently. Clara's breath caught as her fingers trembled. Adrian's voice, low and unsteady, broke the silence. "That man," he said softly, "is someone who should have known you long ago." Clara's lips parted, but no sound came out. The room around them blurred into distant murmurs and music, but between them, silence screamed louder than anything. Adrian's gaze lingered on the children, the boy, calm and observant, the girl, shyly clutching her mother's hand. His throat tightened as 1,000 thoughts collided in his mind. How many birthdays had he missed? How many nights had they asked about their father? The realization burned deeper than any loss he had ever faced. Clara finally spoke, her voice trembling like fragile glass. "This isn't the place, Adrian, please." but Adrian's pain was too raw to pause. 7 years, Clara, he whispered. 7 years you let me live blind. Her eyes glistened, the kind of tears one fights to hold back in front of strangers. I had no choice, she said quietly, her tone laced with the weight of unspoken battles. You were gone, buried in your world of business and deals. When I found out, you were halfway across the world. I wanted to tell you I did, but... She stopped, taking a sharp breath. You made it clear once. You didn't have room for family. Her words struck him harder than any blow. He remembered saying those things, back when ambition was his only compass. A waiter passed by, breaking their standoff for a second, and Clara gently knelt to whisper to the children. Sweethearts, please wait here. Then she looked back at Adrian. If you want to talk, let's not do it here. Her voice was calm now, steady, almost professional. He nodded slowly, unable to find his own words. As she led him toward a quiet lounge away from the crowd, the sound of his daughter's laughter echoed behind them, a reminder of everything he'd lost and everything he might still have to fight for. The lounge was dimly lit, a quiet escape from the noise of the gala. Soft jazz hummed from hidden speakers, and the rain outside streaked against the tall glass like silver threads. Adrian stood by the doorway uncertain, watching Clara take a seat across from him. For a moment neither spoke. The silence between them felt heavier than any argument they'd ever had. Finally, Clara exhaled, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. You want answers? She said softly. You deserve them. Adrian's jaw tightened. I deserve to know why, he replied, his voice trembling with emotion. You left, you disappeared, and then tonight? He stopped himself, unable to finish. Clara's eyes lifted to meet his, and in them he saw both pain and strength. After the divorce, she began, I tried to move on. I tried to accept that we were done. Then, 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I wanted to tell you, Adrian, I did. But when I called your office, your assistant said you were in Tokyo. When I tried again, you were in London. And every headline I saw said the same thing. Adrian Hale expands his empire. I didn't want our children to be another deal you managed. I wanted them to know love, not schedules. Her words pierced deep, leaving Adrian motionless. The memory of their final fight played in his head, the night she begged him to come home for dinner, and he chose a meeting instead. He thought he was building a future for them, not building a wall between them. You should have told me, he whispered, his voice breaking. Clara nodded, her expression tender yet firm. Maybe, but you weren't ready to listen back then. Maybe fate waited until now, because now, you finally are. Her words lingered in the air like truth wrapped in sorrow, and for the first time in years, Adrian felt his walls begin to crumble. Adrian leaned back, running a trembling hand through his hair, his thoughts spinning like a storm. The man who could solve billion-dollar crises couldn't piece together the fragments of his own heart. You think I wouldn't have cared? He said quietly. You think I would have treated them like one of my projects? His tone cracked with pain, raw and unguarded. Clara looked at him sadly. At that time, yes. You were married to your work, Adrian. You didn't even see me slipping away. I tried to tell you how lonely I was, how much I needed you, but you only saw success. I stopped trying when I realized you'd already left, long before I did. Her words struck deeper than any wound, and Adrian could feel years of denial collapsing around him. Outside, Thunder rolled softly, echoing his turmoil. He thought of the little boy's serious gaze, the girl's bright smile, tiny lives he had missed entirely. "What are their names?" he asked finally. Clara hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Evan and Lily." The names tasted unfamiliar, yet precious on his tongue.
"Do they know about me?"
She looked down, her fingers twisting together. They know their father was someone special, someone who loved their mother once. "I never spoke badly of you, Adrian. I just wanted them to have peace." For the first time in years, Adrian felt something he hadn't in a long time. Regret mixed with longing. "I want to see them," he said. "I want to know them." Clara's eyes softened but held a warning. "They're not used to this world of yours, the cameras, the headlines. If you really want to be in their lives, it has to be real. No press, no pride, just you." Adrian nodded slowly, the determination in his chest replacing the ache. "Then I'll start with that," he whispered. "No deals, no contracts, just me." And for the first time that night, Clara smiled, not with nostalgia, but with hope. The next morning, sunlight spilled gently through the hotel windows, touching the city with a golden calm. Adrian stood outside the cafe downstairs, waiting. For the first time in years, his hands felt unsteady, not from stress, but from emotion. He had faced boardrooms full of critics, conquered impossible deals, and built an empire from nothing, yet nothing compared to the fear of what was about to happen. When the glass door opened, Clara stepped in with the children. Evan held her hand confidently, while Lily skipped beside her, her tiny braid bouncing with each step. Adrian's heart clenched at the sight. Every second he'd missed flashed before him. First words, birthdays, tiny victories he'd never been there to witness. Lily spotted him first. "Mommy, that's the man from last night," she said brightly. Clara smiled softly and nodded. "That's right, sweetheart. That's Adrian." Adrian crouched to their level, his voice tender. "Hi, Lily. Hi, Evan." The children exchanged curious looks, then smiled shyly. "You have the same eyes as me," Evan said, and Adrian almost broke down right there. They sat together for breakfast, laughter slowly replacing the tension. Lily insisted he taste her pancakes, and Evan proudly told him about his love for drawing rockets. Every word, every smile, every glance felt like a gift he didn't deserve but was finally receiving. When they stood to leave, Clara lingered for a moment. "You really meant what you said, didn't you?" she asked quietly. Adrian nodded. "I'm not the man I was. I don't want success if it costs me the people I love." Clara smiled, her eyes warm but cautious. "Then start by being here. Not as a CEO, not as a man with guilt, just as their father." Adrian watched them walk away, his heart lighter than it had been in years. For the first time, he realized that real success wasn't in the towers he built. It was in the two small hands that had finally reached back toward him.